Hey guys, and welcome to my very first crochet along video. We are gonna be making this cute long-legged kitty cat. It's not a new pattern, I first made it in the spring of 2012, so 8 years ago now. But it's a really fun one and I thought you might enjoy it as well. It's a fairly easy pattern to make and the whole cat works up using just single crochet stitches, so a great one for beginners. I will split the pattern up into two parts and today we'll be making the head and ears and embroidering the face. And then in part 2 we'll be making the body, arms, legs and tail and assembling the cat. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. I will be making more of these kind of videos as well as sharing some quick tips, tricks and techniques. Here's what you'll need. For this yellow cat I use stone washed, which is a DK or light worsted weight cotton and acrylic blend in the color 809 yellow jasper. And with that yarn I used a 2.5mm crochet hook. But today I'm going to pick a slightly thicker yarn so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing, and the one I'm going with is Big Merino from Drops, which is a worsted weight wool yarn. And the color I'm using is 09. And with that yarn I'm going to be using a 3mm crochet hook, which is probably a bit small for some of you, but I prefer using the smallest hook I possibly can so I can ease up on the tension and still get a nice tight fabric. You'll also need a yarn needle to embroider the face and sew your cat together, some scissors and some stuffing. I like to use polyester fiber fill. The one I like the best is this sort of clumpy kind. I think they call it cluster fiber fill. I find it holds its shape the longest. A little note before we get started, I am using US crochet terms, so what I refer to as a single crochet stitch is called a double crochet stitch in the UK. We'll be making the head first and we're going to start with a magic ring and crochet 6 single crochet stitches into the ring. If you do not know how to do the magic ring, I will leave a link to a video in the description. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And now we can pull the center tightly closed. This whole pattern is worked in spiral, so we will not close the round, we're just going to go into the first stitch to start our second round. And we'll be crocheting into both loops, so make sure when you insert your hook into a stitch, you go under both loops. On the second round, we're going to be doing an increase, which is 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch in each stitch around. So I'm going to do 1 and second in the same stitch. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And now we should have 12 stitches in a round. I'm going to use my starting yarn tail as a stitch marker and draw it through the last stitch so I know where my round ends. And we can start the third round. On the third round we're going to do 1 single crochet stitch in the first stitch and then increase in the next. So we're going to start with 1 and then crochet 2 in the next. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it all the way around. So 1, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 in the last stitch. 1 and 2. You always want to make sure your round ends in the last stitch of the previous round. I'm going to move up my marker here. And we can start the fourth round. On the fourth round, we're going to start with an increase and then crochet 1 single crochet stitch in the next 2 stitches. So we're going to start with 1 and 2 and then 1 in the next 2 stitches. And we're going to repeat it all the way around. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And we have round 4 done. I'm going to move up my marker and we can start the 5th round. On the 5th round, we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then do the increase. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 in the next 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it all the way around. And we have round 5 done. I'm going to move up my marker here and we can start the 6th round. On the 6th round, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch and then do our first increase. Then we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches and then do the increase in the next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in the next 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it 4 more times. And we're going to end the round with a single crochet in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And we have round 6 done. On round 7, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 5 stitches and then we're going to do the increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it all the way around. And we have round 7 done. We can move up our marker now and start with round 8. On round 8, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then we're going to do the increase. 1 and 2. And then we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 2 in the next. 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it 4 more times. And we're going to finish the round with a single crochet in the last 4 stitches. 3 and 4. And now we're done with the increasing rounds. For rounds 9 through 17, so the next 9 rounds, we're going to be crocheting 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I'll do this off camera and I'll meet you back here when we have the next 9 rounds done. And now we have our 9 rounds of single crochet stitches done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm just gonna take this scrap piece of yarn and use it as a stitch marker here. going through the last 2 stitches. And now it's time to start decreasing. On round 18, we're gonna crochet 1 single crochet stitch in the first 2 stitches, and then we're gonna crochet the next 2 stitches together. So 1 and 2. You can do the regular single crochet decrease where you go into the first stitch and pull up a loop, then go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. But it's kind of bulky and there will be kind of a large hole right next to it, so I'm going to be using the invisible single crochet decrease. I'm going to pick up the front loops of the next 2 stitches onto my hook, and then I'm going to crochet a single crochet stitch into these both loops. And this is what the invisible decrease looks like. So we're going to be crocheting a single crochet stitch in the next 6 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to be crocheting the next 2 stitches together using the invisible single crochet decrease. And we're going to repeat it 4 more times. And we're going to finish the round with a single crochet in the last 4 stitches. 3 and 4. And now we have round 18 done. I'm going to move up my marker here. On round 19 we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 5 stitches and then crochet the next 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then we're going to do the invisible single crochet decrease. And we're going to repeat it 5 more times. And we're done with round 19. I'm going to move up my marker here. And now it's time to start adding some stuffing. I'm going to get some of this fiber fill and loosen it up between my hands and just get it in there. You want to make sure all your pieces are stuffed evenly and firmly, but don't go overboard with it. If you cram too much in there, it will stretch out the stitches and you'll start to see the stuffing through the fabric. You want to add a little bit at a time just where you need it. On round 20, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch and then crochet the next 2 stitches together. So 1, and then do the invisible decrease. Then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then do the invisible decrease. And we're going to repeat it 4 more times. And we're going to finish around with a single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So 2 and 3. And we have round 20 done. I'm going to move up my marker here and we can start with round 21. On round 21 we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then do the decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then crochet the next 2 together. And we're going to repeat it all the way around. Now we have round 21 done and we can start with our last round. On the 22nd round we're going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch and then crochet the next 2 together. 1 and then do the invisible decrease. And we're going to repeat it 7 more times. And the hair is done. We're going to go into the next stitch and make a slip stitch. I'm going to leave an extra long yarn tail here so I can sew the head to the body and sew the arms to the body as well. And then pull on the loop until the yarn end comes through the loop. We're going to go into the next stitch, front to back, grab the yarn tail and pull it through. We're going to add a bit more stuffing, making sure the hair is stuffed nice and firmly and evenly. Yep, that's good. Nice and firm, but we can't see any stuffing between the stitches. We have the head done and now it's time to start embroidering the face. But before I get stitching, I will use sewing pins to map out the face, so I'll know exactly where the eyes and nose are gonna go. I'm gonna turn the head so the end of the round is facing away from me and embroider the face to the opposite side. I will count down 14 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I'll pop a pin in the space between the stitches, between rounds 14 and 15. And this is going to mark the center of the face. And now we're going to count 5 stitches from the pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're not going to put the pin in the space between the stitches. We're going to go through that 5th stitch. Because when we're embroidering the eyes, the stitches will stretch out that hole a bit, but if you go through a stitch, it's not going to be that big of a problem. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go in the 5th stitch. And now we know exactly where our eyes will go and where the center of the face is. And now we need our embroidery floss. I am using black here. And our embroidery needle. You'll need about 75 centimeters, 2.5 feet of the embroidery floss. We're going to thread it onto a needle. And we're going to insert it into the head from the bottom through the opening. And come up where our first marker was. If you're having trouble getting a needle through the stitch, you can always shift everything over by half a stitch and come up through the space between the stitches. Make sure to leave a little tail at the bottom. And now we're going to count 3 stitches to the right and go into that third stitch. And bring the needle back up where we did last time. Now you're going to go 1 row above the first stitch and bring it back up where we did last time. We're going to go 1 row below the first stitch and then bring it up where our center marker is. We're then going to make a small vertical stitch going straight down over the next round. And then go 1 row below that, a couple of stitches away. Don't pull that stitch too tight, we're going to go under it. You can tighten it now. And then we're going to mirror it on the other side. We're going to count 2 stitches from the center and bring the needle up in that second stitch. And pull the yarn tight. And now we're going to start embroidering the nose. We're going to count 2 stitches on the other side and go into the second stitch. And bring the needle back up where we did last time. And then we're going to keep stitching until the nose is big enough. Yeah, that looks good. We're going to make our last stitch and bring the needle up where our last marker is. And then we're going to make the second eye just like we did with the first one. So we're going to make the last stitch and come back out through the opening. And now we can knot the yarn tails together. And cut off the extra yarn and tuck the yarn tails inside the stuffing. Next we'll be making the ears, and we're going to start with a magic ring and crochet 6 single crochet stitches into the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we can close the loop. On the second round, we're going to start with an increase in the first stage and then crochet or single crochet stitch in the next. So we're going to crochet 2 in the first, 1 and 2, and then 1 in the next, 1 and 2, 1, 1 and 2, and 1 in the last. I'm going to use the starting yarn tail as a stitch marker here and pull it through the last stitch. I'm going to make sure the right side is on the outside so I can work around it, and we can start the third round. And the third round we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then do the increase. 1, 2, and 2 in the next, and we're going to repeat it 2 more times. We have round 3 done. I'm going to move up my marker. We're going to start the fourth round with a single crochet in the first stitch and then increase in the second. 1 and 2 in the next, 1 and 2. Then we're going to do a single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then do the next increase. 1, 2, 3, and 2 in the next, 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat it 1 more time. 1, 2, 3, and 2 in the next, 2, and finish around with a single crochet in the last 2 stitches. 1 and 2. I'm going to move up my marker here. On the 5th round, we're going to crochet 1 single crochet in the first 4 stitches and then do the increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 in the next, 1 and 2, and we're going to repeat it 2 more times. We're going to go into the next stitch and make a slip stitch. We're going to cut the yarn, leaving the yarn tail for sewing, and fasten off. Go into the next stitch and pull the yarn tail through. I'm going to cut off some of the starting yarn tail and tuck it inside the ear. We're going to push the 2 sides of the ear together, flattening it, making sure the yarn tail is at one end. And then make the second ear just like the first one. And now it's time to sew the ears to the head. If you want to make sure to get a nice symmetrical result, sewing pins are your best friend. You can either pin the ears to the head, or what I like to do is mark the place where the ears are going to go with sewing pins but keep the ear loose. It's so much easier to sew it on this way. We're going to sew the ears just below the 3rd round, so you want to count down 3 rows and pop your pin in there. And then add the 2nd pin to the other side of the 3rd round. I know the last round of the ears had 18 stitches, so folded in half it's going to be 9 stitches across. So I know I have to count down 9 rows from the first pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and pop the pin in the 9th. And we're going to do the same on the other side. You can go either into the space between the stitches or through the stitch itself. So now we have the placement marked and we can start sewing. Take the yarn tail and thread it onto a needle. And take a look at where your first pin is. You want to go half a stitch length away from the pin. So if you put your pin through the stitch, you want to go into the space between the stitches. But if your pin is in a space, you want to go through the stitch right next to it. Go under a stitch and pull the yarn through. Then you're going to go through both layers of the ear, going through the first 2 stitches. I know I'm going to have to go towards the other marker, but I don't want to sew the ear to the head in a completely straight line. I want to have a slight curve here. And I'm just going to pop another pin here to mark it. So I know I'm going to have to go towards that pin first. And you want to go down 1 row and bring the needle back up. And pull the stitch tight. You're then going to go through the next 2 stitches. Go 1 stitch length away from where you brought the yarn up last time. And then go 1 row down, going towards that pin. You're then going to insert your needle through the next 2 stitches. Go 1 stitch length away and bring it up 1 row below that. And then keep stitching going across the ear, making sure you pull each stitch as tight as you can. Make the last stitch and come through the opening at the bottom. And then sew the second ear to the head just like we did with the first one. Make the last stitch and come out through the opening at the bottom. Knot the yarn ends together. Cut off the extra yarn and tuck them inside the stuffing. And that's it for today. Make sure to come back on Wednesday for part 2. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I will try to get to all of them. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and hit thumbs up or thumbs down if you didn't. If you like what I do and want to support me, check out my pattern and toy stores. I will leave a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.